Sir, hey, you're assaulting us. That's assault there, buddy. If we did that to somebody, I know you'd be crying about it, right? Because you're called a hypocrite. You don't know how to be a man. You don't have any children, do you? You can't even take care of yourself, much less a child. You have no responsibility, no sense of virtue, no sense of masculinity. You've been emasculated. You don't know how to protect women. You don't know how to protect children. No, you don't. If we wanted to do something to this abortion clinic, you wouldn't stop us. We are restraining ourselves because we're law-abiding people. You guys are not restraining us in the least bit of way. You're not protecting this clinic, okay? You're a coward. You couldn't protect your way out of a paper bag. If we wanted to toss you down the hill, we'd toss you down the hill, and you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. It's the fact that we are self-disciplined men who actually restrain ourselves and abide by the law is the reason that you haven't gotten hurt today, because you're not a man. You're a coward. You're a little boy that has not grown up. You've been raised in a self-centered, materialistic, consumer-driven culture. All you know how to do is consume. You don't know how to take care of anybody. You don't know how to produce or build anything of value and substance. So I hope you grow up and become a man.
Wow. Now, I have no idea what the context behind any of this is, who's on what side, what political ideology is being represented here, but that was an ass whooping of truth on Gen Z that absolutely deserves it. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Radowski here of WeAreChange.org, and there's a lot of absolutely wild and crazy news to get into today, as of course the times are not all right, as we are facing a lot of political upheaval, a lot of things that we are doing negatively to ourselves that, of course, is going to be having some very serious repercussions, especially when it comes to American foreign policy in the Middle East right now that is brewing and going to create a big conflict that you will be held responsible for, while the elites will be benefiting off of it. We're going to be talking about that, plus all the latest news here on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast was originally shared on Twitter from Roman Goddess 72. I don't know if this was a Roman goddess that released this footage. It looks like this footage came from a live stream from a quote at Operation Save America of ... If anyone knows the context here, I would love to know more about what was really happening during that entire scene, as well as to give credit to the person behind the camera with these very articulate words of modern day frustrations when it comes to the youth of this country that are absolutely failing us, failing the future, and failing America. So yeah, you know who said that. Please let me know in the comment section below. We will attribute them and their social medias in the description below. As of course, that person behind the camera should absolutely be a Congress member, so he could call out all the welfare queens living on the American taxpayer dime for being the same exact perfect representation of weak-minded Gen Z that don't give a damn about you, but only care about themselves. This, as the race for Speaker of the House inside of Congress has just intensified, with more candidates being eliminated, 2 now remaining, as Republicans keep promising us that we will have a new Speaker of the House at the end of day 21 of not having one. Personally, I think the United States, I think Congress, I think this country and its people are going to be a lot better off without one. This, as the Republicans have been showing us just how awful they are, and willing counterparts to the larger, aggressive, democratic, build back better globalist agenda that has been destroying the way of life for many Americans, as many Republicans have been openly participating and supporting major democratic policies and initiatives, which of course include going after their own fellow Republicans. This, as of course the former president of the United States, his staff, his legal team are all facing very serious indictments, some of which are being pled down to, specifically to no jail time at all, just like moments ago with Jenna Ellis, the Trump co-defendant who just pled guilty and took a plea of, quote, aiding and abetting false statements/writings, as she has been sentenced to 5 years of probation, highlighting 2 possible scenarios here. One of the ones being that the Democrats here, especially the district attorney, overreached and now has to, of course, wind back a lot of the charges that they pressed up against these individuals. The second theory is that some people snitched here and will be cooperating against the former president of the United States. This, as the president of the United States is facing nearly 750 years in jail through many indictments indictments threw many accusations against him, as today he will be facing off against his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, in Manhattan in the $250 million fraud trial that he is facing in that state, highlighting the legal lawfare that's being instituted against the front runner for the 2024 presidential elections, as many Americans now understand legal battles as political prosecutions. This, as usually the person able to have the best lawyers usually wins in the American justice system that is more and more favorable towards individuals with the right political opinions rather than actually, what was right and wrong. All of this as there's a lot of very interesting lawsuits ahead of us, specifically regarding NewsGuard and the U.S. government that, of course, highly manipulate information for their own personal benefit while censoring any information that is critical of them and their associates, as there's even a Supreme Court ruling soon that could totally upend and change the face of the internet. And with that happening, that's one reason why I am happy I have LukeUnfiltered.com, our own members area, our quasi-secret, not-so-secret society, our own platform where we get to say and do what we want, as we are going to have a special report available just for members later on today discussing some very serious issue that we cannot discuss here on this particular broadcast. Today we're going to be focusing a lot about health, what I've done, what I'm doing, why I also started WeAreChange dotshop, our own personal line of supplements, which you could get right now in even an exclusive ultimate bundle for just $74.99, getting yourself the Chill Pill Essential Fatty Magnesium Glycinate, as of course we have a lot of resources available to you on WeAreChange dotshop. And if you click on any of the products that we have available to you, Calm is usually my favorite, to be honest with you. You could scroll here, click the video, learn about this topic from independent and third parties while starting your own independent health journey. Magnesium glycinate is the latest product we launched. I just took some last night. It helped me get a lot of really good sleep. Click the link here to learn more about it. WeAreChange.shop, our own line of products, only available to you right now just by clicking the link down in the description below and starting your own independent health journey, which I can't recommend enough, especially in the very trying, difficult times that we are all involved in, as of course there's a larger biological war against the average man and woman, while also there's another bigger war brewing, according to a lot of very prominent individuals like Vivek Ramaswamy, the former president of the United States, and Elon Musk, who yesterday on a Twitter space announced that, quote, the risk of World War III is increasing rapidly, and I couldn't agree with him more on those larger sentiments, especially when it comes to studying and understanding American foreign policy for nearly 18 years now. It does look like we are in more dangerous times than ever, as major U.S. presidential candidates like Vivek Ramaswamy are even putting out the ideas that the United States should do something drastic like pull out of NATO, which he sees as, quote, reasonable and the right decision to make here, especially in the face of all the dangers that threaten and challenge U.S. hegemony. Another person that also believes in these same kind of sentiments and ideas and is also not afraid to represent them is the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, who, according to the Rolling Stones, is plotting to pull out of NATO if he, quote, doesn't get his way. And other than RFK Jr., these three presidential candidates definitely represent the only few select voices that are willing to speak out against the military-industrial complex that predominantly dominates not only our news coverage, but also our politicians that they finance every single day. This, as according to George Papadopoulos, today we have the largest fleet of warships NATO has ever assembled, gathering right now in the Mediterranean Sea near Israel, in addition to 2 U.S. carrier strike groups, amphibious assault forces, warships, and other very heavy military equipment in the region that, according to George Papadopoulos, is, quote, stoking the flames of World War III in an election year to distract from every failure imaginable by the regime. harsh criticisms of course, the current political party in charge of the U.S. government that clearly is in over its head when it comes to the major decisions that are leading us down a very dangerous pathway that there is no off-ramp to, that there is no going back from. As of course, it's also important to note here, with such significant military hardware in the region, all it has to take is an accident to spark off an entire global conflict. And we have seen throughout recorded human history, it always usually is an accident. It usually always is some kind of miscalculation, some kind of aggressive maneuver, some kind of miscalculation that leads to a lot of trouble for the rest of the world, as just recently 2 U.S. B-1B strategic bombers buzzed by Russian Su-27 fighter jets over the Baltic Sea, as many other countries and foreign powers are involved here and are all trying to look out for their own personal best interest, as Tucker Carlson last night just released episode 33 of his interview series on Twitter, where he talked about how we are actually going to be going to war with Iran, specifically interviewing Colonel Douglas McGregor on his program and detailing all the latest geopolitical developments that are staging the grounds for an American proxy or even direct war with Iran, which already in limited ways is being carried out in places like Syria and Yemen. As Tucker Carlson specifically in the interview said, quote, "In other words, killing people isn't going to solve the problem," as of course a lot of this bigger truth is usually being kept away from the American public, from the corporate media that usually likes to censor a lot of these bigger programs, a lot of these bigger escalations, which are usually propagandized as somehow in America's interests, when in reality they are not. Tucker Carlson called them out correctly, and his assessment on what's been happening with Iran has been brewing for a very long time, ever since 2003, since the Iraq War, which, by the way, made Iran more powerful in the region. There has been a lot of war hawks, neocons, bloodthirsty individuals who want to have their blood sacrificed no matter what the cost, that have been dreaming about and doing everything in their power to try to get us in a conflict with Iran. It's also important to note here that we were very close to a war with Iran under the Donald Trump presidency, after essentially he assassinated their Minister of Defense while launching significant airstrikes in the region that he made sure there was no public accounting and record of. I found this very telling in this entire segment by Tucker Carlson that I think is worth listening to.
So what would happen to the United States if we followed Senator Graham's advice and just began bombing critical infrastructure in Iran? Like, what would happen then?
Well, all of the bases that we have in Iraq and Syria, unfortunately, where we still have over 1,000 Americans, all of those would be targeted. And this time, they would target them accurately, and this destruction would be wholesale. I would expect trouble here at home and in the United States because of the open border. Hezbollah has a very large operation in Mexico. There are no doubt many Hezbollah agents inside the United States. We can only begin to imagine the kind of trouble they could cause. The missile and space program in Iran is very advanced, as is their cyber warfare capability. All of these things would be brought to bear against us. But what's most important, I think, for Americans to understand is if we attack Iran on the basis of Hezbollah's alleged willingness to attack Israel if Israel invades Gaza, we will end up in a fight with Russia. Russia will not sit by quietly and watch Iran destroyed by the United States air and naval power in the region. And once Russia enters this, it becomes much more than just a local.
And his assessments are correct here, as of course China is also waiting in the wings there. Turkey is also going to be a major key decider of how this conflict will turn out, as of course when it does, it's important to note here that you and your family and the average citizen will be facing the consequences here, while of course the sons, the daughters, the family members of many of these politicians that have helped start this war will be actually enjoying themselves and not seeing any of it. This as the Israeli Prime Minister's Benjamin Netanyahu's son today is being heavily criticized for enjoying his long-stay vacation in Miami, while 360,000 reservists are being called up in Israel to fight the war in Palestine. This, as it's important to note here, that these larger, very aggressive neocon foreign policy initiatives that are being carried out right now will bear the full brunt and burden on the American people and not the politicians that, of course, are routinely protected by your tax dollars that cause a lot of this trouble for you and face no consequences or repercussions for doing so, just like this woke soy boy in the beginning of this entire broadcast. Again, there's a lot of trouble coming our way because of the politicians that created these problems that you will be facing the full repercussions of. The world is very unstable. It could change at any moment, at any time. But if there's one thing that is very evidently clear, is that there are politicians creating problems for you that you, of course, will be forced to deal with no matter what. And to me, that's just a little bit of an unfair situation. And if you agree with me, share this video with your friends and family members, as I think it is more imperative than ever. Again, a lot of this bullcrap could have been avoided. Again, we actually called out a lot of this same exact scenario that we're dealing with on this YouTube channel, and we have been doing so for a very long time, as of course the second most popular video on this YouTube channel is us, as well as another controversial figure that we cannot mention here, predicting this same exact scenario and situation. But we did this 9 years ago. Again, watch this video. We're going to link it down in the description below. Watch this video, because you will be shockingly surprised at what me and this controversial figure that we can't mention here have been talking about and predicting for a very, very, very long time. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. One more video coming your way on LukeUnfiltered.com.
Now, David, you have been making many predictions about World War III, and a lot of things you've been saying throughout the years have slowly been coming together. Right now, with the situation in ISIS, how do you break it down? What's your understanding of it?